run a 5K. I don't think this has to be just for beginners, FYI. I think this can be all-inclusive for anybody that's run 25Ks or for that beginner that's run off the couch. So I think there's key points that everybody should kind of adhere to, and we're going to go over some of those. We'll do a question and answer afterwards, but I want to go over some of these key points that I think that can help everybody run and have more fun doing so. Bless you. All right, so if you are a beginning runner, what you need to understand is that you have to have a goal in mind. This is going to be for anybody that's been running, but especially for a beginning runner. You're going to have to give yourself plenty of time to essentially prepare your body and mind for that race. So it's good to have a goal. Myself, I'll pick a goal somewhere out there that gives me time to prepare, but having that goal doesn't just make you spin your wheels. That way you've got something to actually work towards. So make sure if you're a beginner, you give yourself at least 8 to 10 weeks to really get yourself off and running, pardon the pun. But give yourself that time frame. But again, the big key point is going to be to pick that race that really is something maybe near and dear to your heart. Maybe there's a charity that you're really, really proud of or want to be a part of, and that would be a good way to jump onto that. So that's step number 1. Step number 2. Establishing some sort of training schedule so that once you've got your race picked out, now you've got your 8 to 10 weeks of training or something along those lines. What you're going to want to do, because there's a training schedule for every person out there, whether it be you run 6 days a week and take 1 day off, whether you run 2 or 3 days a week and swim the remainder of the time, or don't do anything with that remainder of the time. There's something that's going to work out there for you, and kind of locating that, honing in on it, and adhering to that is going to be key. So whatever works for you doesn't always work for somebody else. Recognizing that and then grasping onto the one that does work for you. And sometimes there's a little trial and error, and that's where your local running shop or even going online, things like that, just talking to people that maybe are seasoned runners, that can really, really assist you in kind of picking that correct path for yourself. So don't just do what everybody else is doing, whether that be running in the mornings, maybe you're an evening runner, or vice versa. Do what works best for you and your schedule, because that's is going to be what pays dividends down the road, because if you can't find the time to train, you'll just burn out, and then you won't do it. So, all right, step 3, purchase the proper running shoes or gear. There are all different kinds of shoes, otherwise I wouldn't have a job. There would only be one shoe, people would come in and pick it off the wall and off they go, and we could probably have an automated machine for that. So, all sorts of shoes. If you've ever been to the shop, which hopefully a lot of you have, there are a slew of different shoes, different colors, all that kind of stuff. What we do is find the correct shoe or sports bra or pair of socks that's going to work best for you. And everybody's foot is different. Everybody's body is different. We all know this. So what we do is we try to work you through those steps that's going to help us determine what does work best for you. We have what they call it's a treadmill. But we have some people call it a dreadmill, but we hook a camera up to the end, and we have some special software that essentially allows us to record you, play it back for you at a frame-by-frame rate, and then kind of show you what your body's doing. What that helps us do is helps you see what you're doing, essentially, and that'll lend you some credibility as far as picking what's going to work best for you, and it'll help explain why we maybe picked one shoe over another shoe and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, the biggest thing is going to be what works best for you, what feels the best. And that's what I always leave my customers saying is, if it feels the most natural, if you don't even feel like you have a shoe on, it just feels good, that's the one you want to walk out of here with. And whatever I tell you, whatever the computer tells you, none of that matters at the end of the day. It's what feels good on you. Because we're not in that shoe with you. We're not in that piece of clothing with you. So picking what works best for you is certainly key. All right, 4. Find a friend or group or somebody that can help motivate you. And what's going to be really important about this is getting them to buy in, having that support system that's going to be there for you. Whether it be a buddy that is starting the journey with you, or somebody that's been around the block a few times and says, I'll ride the bike beside you, or just somebody that says, I'm not going to do the workouts with you because I'd rather not, but I will be here for you every time you need me, whether it's to talk you through it or having a rough day. Just having that support system in place, having somebody that will be there for you is key, because all the days aren't going to be as easy as the others. So just having that support system, being able to rely on them when the sledding does get a little rougher than usual is going to be key. Along those same lines, something that I didn't have in my notes, but I think is very, very key, is also establishing a running log of sorts for yourself, because you'll notice, and a lot of times you won't even recognize it up front, that perhaps you had a difficult time even accomplishing that first mile for the first couple of weeks. 2 or 3 months in, when you go out for your 3-mile run and you say, geez, that was super difficult today. I just don't know if I'm going to be able to run tomorrow. That really disheartened me. If you go back and look at your progress, essentially, you're going to say, man, I can't believe I've come this far this quickly. I can do this. Maybe I will take a day off, just let my mind breathe a little bit, but I can do this. And that's key, is just kind of establishing those boundaries that you have for yourself, and then being able to break through them and seeing how well you've been doing with those. So make sure you've got something written down somewhere that holds you accountable and also shows you the progress you make. Start slowly as you begin to run. Not everybody's going to go out and run 6-minute miles. Some people will never go out and run 6-minute miles, and that's okay too. Whatever your pace is, hone to it, and you're gonna get faster as time goes on, and then eventually you're gonna get slower again, and that's fine too. But just making sure you get from A to B, that's all that really matters. There's no land speed records that any of us need to set. It's just getting out there, having fun while you're out there, and that's key. If you finish a race, whether you run a 15-minute 5K or whether you run a 30-minute 5K, you've got a smile on your face. That's all that really, really matters, because keep in mind, you're the ones paying for it, so you may as well get some enjoyment out of it at the same time. All right, warm up before you begin to run. Whether this be stretching, whether this be drills, there's all kinds of different ways that people approach this. It used to be before you ran a single mile or single step, you go ahead and you sit down on the track and you stretch, and you bend over and stretch this direction. And then there was more of the active stretching. You'd run a mile or two first, and you do drills where you do butt kicks and things like that. Whatever works best for you, just do that. But make sure you limber up your muscles, because if you go out and just try to race right off the front, you're liable to hurt something. So make sure that you get into a good stretching routine. It doesn't have to take a half hour, because a lot of times we don't have that much time to do the training and the stretching and get showered and get the kids to school, and there's only so much time in the day. So take as much time as you got, and whether it be before you run, or maybe in the evenings as you're sitting on the couch, maybe you got a couple extra minutes, take the time that you've got to do your stretching. It'll help limber everything up, and stretch that body actually runs a little faster as well. There's some evidence out there for that. So just work on doing some of that. All right, cross training, we just talked about it, but it is an excellent way to kind of allow your body to heal in some certain ways. If you just keep doing the same thing over and over again, it's like weightlifters. It's called muscle memory. If you continue to just do the bicep curls, eventually you're going to max out on that, because your biceps have gotten used to that. So you switch up, maybe you do legs this day. And if you can continue to switch things around, do some swimming, do some biking, that kind of thing, it's going to hit different muscle groups, and it's going to keep your body, quote unquote, confused. And you're going to be able to build those muscles a little better, and you're going to allow some of them to rest at the same time. So it's going to help you just kind of rest some muscles and grow at the same time. So that's going to be key, is if you've got a chance to do so, to cross-train, just make sure you've got the right equipment to do so safely. As Robert would say, having fallen off his bike multiple times, wear the proper equipment. All right, stay hydrated before, during, and after a race or a run of any sort. Especially in the heat we've been having this summer, it's key to drink your water, drink your Powerades, drink whatever you've got that's going to give you some good hydration, because you're sweating more than you realize. And your body is going to behave and work best for you when you are kind of, if you think about it, it's a perfect venue for this when you're topped off. So if you go to the gas station, you don't want to just go on fumes, you want to be topped off, and that way you don't have anything to worry about. So just make sure you're hydrating, because you're sweating out a lot more than water. You're sweating out a lot of essential nutrients and things like that throughout the day. So by just continuing that flow into your body, that's always a good idea. All right, the night before a race, when you put in these 8 to 10 weeks, you're feeling good, you're nervous, but you're excited. What do you do? Hopefully the day prior, you've actually gotten yourself some good carbohydrates or something like that. People do, pasta, things like that. It doesn't have to be that, though. It's anything that you're comfortable eating, because you don't want to change everything you've been doing leading up to it the day before. Say, well, everybody always does pasta. I never eat pasta, but I may as well try it now, because it's obviously working for everybody else. Because you may end up being about halfway through the race and saying, all right, where's the porta john? So we don't want one of those issues. So make sure that you're preparing the way you have throughout the entire cycle. But if there is something, if you do enjoy pasta, everybody always thinks it's the day before. It actually assists you a little bit better 2 days out, because your body actually has a chance to process everything. It actually gets into the system. Just eat something light the day before. It can be a salad, something really, really light, like a light sandwich of some sort, a soup perhaps, but nothing real heavy on your stomach. But don't change anything up. That's the name of the game. Having you know, you've prepared in these shoes, you've prepared in these shorts, that kind of thing, use that stuff. Don't get a whole brand new wardrobe the day before, because you're liable to do some chafing in some places you don't want, et cetera, et cetera. Nobody wants to see, or as I said kind of jokingly before, is in many of these cases when we are running a 5K, we are paying to do so. And sure, the money goes to charities of various sorts, and we're very proud to have supported those charities. But you should never realize halfway through that you're just regretting it and that you're not having fun with it, because you've put in the time, you put in the effort, and you put this money forth. You should be enjoying it. So if you catch yourself ever doing that, take a deep breath, slow down a step or two, because you're probably running a little too hard, and just say, this time is for me, this is for the charity, let's have some fun with this. And I think that's what Robert would leave you with as well, is that at the end of the day, all the proper equipment in the world is not going to change your mindset. Your mindset is what's key going into it. And by preparing yourself for all these steps that we mentioned, I think that that'll really, really assist you in getting that mindset correct. So there's probably some questions out there.